I'm Sophia, and this is the ultimate podcast for celebrating all things wonderful about our beautiful island. Welcome to Destination Cyprus. Hi everyone, we're very proud and excited to be launching our podcast with you today. At Cybarco, we're very passionate about Cyprus, and those of you familiar with the Lanitis Group will know that channeling our energy into projects that transform lives and communities is at the forefront of our agenda. So we're here to open a dialogue about what makes our island so special to so many, and we're filming this podcast in English because we're hoping to reach a global audience and share our message with the world. So on this first launch episode, we're going to start with the real estate industry, which is close to our heart. And our first guest today is Michalis Hadjipanayiotou. Hello, Michali.
Hello, Sophia. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm enjoying being in this seat today because that means you're in the hot seat, which makes a change. So welcome, and thank you very much for joining us on this podcast. Now, apart from the CEO of Cybarco Development Limited, you're also the chairman of the Cyprus Land and Building Developers Association, and you're on various boards, including the Cyprus Employers and Industrialists Federation, Limassol Marina, and Trilogy Limassol Seafront. And you're a senior executive with 2 decades of leadership across multiple industries. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because you've been multinationals like Pepsico and Procter and Gamble. And you're a Fulbright scholar with an MBA from the University of Texas at Austin. And you have a first-class honours, apparently, in finance and econometrics from the Manchester University. And I found that quite fascinating. I did not know that about you. So, from finance, econometrics to Texas, Pepsico, Procter and Gamble, and now real estate. So my first question to you is, what brought you to this sector?
All right. First of all, big thank you for having the honor of being the first guest. I know you have been working on this project for some time since we gave you the green light. And as we all know how passionate you are when you get the green light to get it moving and make it work. I'm sure this podcast is going to be very successful and it's going to help shed light, as you said, in spreading the word, what makes this small island attracting all these people and don't want to live it. So, yes, what has attracted me to the industry? Actually, it's a long story. I was, as you mentioned, I did my undergraduate in Manchester University in finance, econometrics. Although my degree says econometrics, I'm not sure what econometrics is. So
I don't think I know either.
I have no idea what I was thinking there or why it says that on my degree. But then I had a chance. Once I finished my degree, I came back to Cyprus for a year because I wanted to do an MBA, unlike other people that we were studying together from Cyprus. I was probably the only guy or 2 guys out of the 20 Cypriots out of the finance department of Manchester that didn't want to become a chartered accountant or a certified accountant. It wasn't for me. So I said, I'm going to go and try something different. I wanted to do an MBA. And in order to get the US at a good MBA school, you have to have experience, business experience. So I ended up working at Laiki Bank for a year. It was probably one of the most boring experiences of my life. And then from then I got an unpaid leave to go and do my MBA in Austin, Texas. And while I was there, I ended up, because everybody, when you go to the MBA school, the MBA is like a stepstone so that you get a better paid job. That's the essence of an MBA. If you have a business background, you go to MBA just to get a pay rise. So everybody was doing interviews on campus, and one day, I said, what am I going to do? Maybe I should go and see what all these guys are doing. So I ended up signing up for interested in interviews. I ended up with getting an offer from Procter & Gamble in Athens in marketing. So actually, I've only visited Greece once. went to Greece because, and the main reason why I went to Greece, and I know it may sound a little bit not very mature, it was they offered me a very nice signing bonus. So I said, you get $25,000 and you go to Greece. How bad can it be? And it wasn't. It was an amazing experience. It was an amazing experience, not only living in Greece, but also being part of the multinational and the education that you get from how the multinational American companies work. They help you a lot on how you structure your business. And probably the thing that I've learned, both at Procter & Gamble and Pepsico, where I spent a long time of my career, is that when you work in marketing, you're the general manager of the company.
Well, thank you.
You're the general manager of the brand. You may not have the title, but that's how you end up. So that experience, I ended up, it's a long answer actually, but I'm getting there. I ended up, after some years in Cyprus, being the general manager of Corina Snacks, which was the affiliate of PepsiCo. And at some point, I was, within the next, 3 months, I was getting a promotion and moving to the Balkans to head 3 countries with PepsiCo. At that point, I got an offer from real estate. And I said, I was probably a little bit reluctant whether it was the wise move of, continue with multinationals. Was it wise to continue working with multinationals or try something different? And I said, what the heck? We'll try something different. And so I ended up in real estate. So instead of selling potato bags, I think at that time it was 21 cents, we ended up selling properties of 2.1 million. So that's more or less my story, how I ended up in real estate.
Not too shabby. I think I remember you telling me that your father was trying to convince you to become a pharmacist. Yeah. And I'm trying to picture you in a bank or a pharmacy. So I think we're all very pleased that you ended up in real estate, Michalis.
Well, I'm not sure everybody at Cybarco shares your views, but I'll take it.
I think one of the things that always fascinates me about meeting people like you and chatting to people that I meet in Cyprus, without wanting to give your age away, parents...
29, I'm 29.
Yeah, of course. Parents of Generation X kind of sacrificed a lot to give us wings to fly away. They gave us so many opportunities, potentially because they felt that they didn't have them. And so many of us have ended up back in Cyprus. So obviously, because the core of this podcast is getting to the bottom of the magnetism that brings people here and keeps people here, what was it for you? What brought you back and what kept you here?
Well, actually, that's a tough question. It's a tough and an easy question at the same time. It's not just my generation, because I'm 29, you're 27, we're a little bit younger. So it's not just that my generation ended up in Cyprus, but also the surprising to me in some ways is that even younger people now in their 30s, that they have worked for a few years abroad, the Cypriots that deciding that they want to come and live in Cyprus and work here. And the short answer to this, it's something I say usually when I meet many of our potential customers or when I present abroad, persuading people why they should buy or invest in Cyprus or they should move here. Cyprus definitely is not the most pretty place in the world. It doesn't have the best beaches. It doesn't have the best food. It doesn't have the best, the best probably in any category. But the package as a whole, when you put all the puzzles in place, it's a bloody good place. And I think now, especially that people are taking into consideration the mental health issues and having a more balanced lifestyle, and that not only work and money is the number one priority in your life, I think Cyprus is an amazing base for you to be based here, have a very challenging professional environment, but at the same time be at 5 o'clock in the morning or at 6 o'clock at night at the beach or out in the mountains or wherever. So as a package, I think it's probably one of the best destinations in the world. And I think that's what attracts us all coming back.
I like to use the word diversity because I feel that there's a little bit of everything here. And I can remember coming back in 2008 from London and I was in a complete panic. I just thought, I'm never going to be happy here. I'm never going to find the things to replace the culture, the events, all the things that I was able to do and have access to. And I have found that it's more than met my expectations. Of course, it's great to be able to leave once in a while, but
once a month.
We can do that as well. I'm always quite amazed by the resilience of the Cypriot people and how much we've managed to get through in the past decade. I mean, almost since arriving here in 2008, I have certainly lived through the bank crisis on a personal level, but also at work. I mean, I can remember 2013 quite vividly. We've had some brutal crisis from the termination of the Cyprus investment program to a pandemic, the lockdowns, and then a war. And yet the real estate market seems to still be booming. So again, bringing it back to why Cyprus, what is it about this place that means we can still be at the top of our game?
Yeah, I think there's not, at least in the EU, let's not say in the whole world, because I'm sure there's countries that are facing significantly bigger challenges than what Cyprus has faced the past 20 years. But for sure, a developed economy or a developed country like Cyprus, the crisis that we have faced, especially the 2013, and being able to overcome it and having a booming economy and a booming real estate, it's admirable. I know many times we complain about things that happen in Cyprus because we're very passionate and want to be improving and putting the bar higher and higher. But I think what we accomplished in 2013 as a nation, where all of us came together after half of our banking system collapsed, and then rolling up the sleeves and being able to switch our economy, I think nobody was expecting that. And big credit to that, to all the people for managing to do that. And I think part of the reason why we have been able to come out of many situations that we have been challenges that we've been facing, a big part of that is the size. There's a saying, which I actually believe, it's a little bit cheesy, but small is beautiful. And the part that Cyprus is small, it allows very easily for the economy with some smart moves in order to perform well. So the fact that have we been able, the latest one, that we have been able to attract companies to come and have a physical presence on the island, it has changed a lot the dynamics of the economy. Our economy this year is growing by 5%. I think it's the highest, or probably one of the 3 highest in the EU. And that's part of the 20, 30,000 new people that have decided that they're going to be relocating, working here, living, playing, staying, and doing all these things on this beautiful island. So part of the reason, and this is the golden rule that I've learned from my, many years at university, is demand and supply defines pricing. The fact that the supply has been rather limited the past years on real estate, demand has been increasing, especially now with the headquartering of the companies. It means that the prices have been going up, and that's why we're having this booming real estate that we're seeing now in the whole Cyprus.
It's 2013, I can remember that quite vividly, actually, because we had all these crisis management talks, didn't we, about do we continue our campaigns? It was at the time when Limassol Marina was the project that we were pushing, millions being tossed around, different markets, and we weren't sure what to do. Do you pause things? Do you tell people that you're continuing? And that's been a huge success story. And the same with Trilogy as well. To think that we have managed to get where we have through all those lockdowns and a pandemic and the rise in construction costs. I think there's a lot that people are very possibly unaware of, which may mean that I'm not doing my job properly. But I know that people no longer have the patience they used to have. People are not really reading newspapers. People are online. And I think it would be great if you could just give us a short rundown of the project status at the minute, where each project is.
Yeah. I mean, just a short rundown, it would be, before starting that, I'm going to say something. Again, another basic rule that I have in business is the following, that, if you have a good product, there's always a market. So if you have something that's good, and by good, it doesn't mean just quality or service, or it's the value equation. So if you have something that it's at the right price, it's the right product, and there is the right design and all that, it means there's somebody that's going to want to buy it. Okay, and especially if you're lucky enough for that to be on the island of Cyprus, which has all the other benefits that we said. So a little bit of where we are now. I mean, we have finished the whole construction of Limassol Marina. It's a project that has transformed Cyprus. It's projects that are needed and have been a key integral part of the ability of the Cyprus government to be able to attract headquarters in Cyprus, because all these guys that are coming now and bringing these key talented people to live in Cyprus, they want infrastructure projects, they need flagship projects, and Limassol Marina is one of those. Has transformed the area, it has revitalized the old part of the city, and it has, it has done so much for the island and the economy. So in that one we have completed, it's operational. We only have about, I don't even know, 10, 12 units left. So huge success story. We're extremely proud, and we're extremely proud, we as Cybarco and the rest of the shareholders, because it was not just a project that, it was for our companies, it was for the country. Then our other flagship project at the moment is Trilogy, that we're moving, despite all the challenges with the pandemic and the abolition of the Cyprus investment program, is we're working overtime in order to deliver as quickly as possible. It's been a huge success. We've launched the third building at the back a few months ago, and it's already 65% sold, and we only have about 50 units sold. Everybody was challenging us, who's going to buy, and this year is going to be our record year. We're going to be exceeding sales of 100 million, which it shows the strength of the country, not just Cybarco and the Lanitis Group, but also the country, in order to be able to attract this kind of people. And then we also have our hidden jewel at Agamas Bay Villas, where we have an amazing project exactly next to Anasa, which is paradise on earth, a completely different profile. And we have ready to move in villas. And then we have a few other smaller projects of buildings, either in Limassol, which is Actea, and in Nicosia. We came back to Nicosia after many years, and we're very positively surprised that we're getting foreigners buying in Nicosia. So again, a very positive sign that Cyprus is becoming a destination. It's not just the cities that are on the beach, there's also other cities. And of course, we have other projects in the pipeline in order to meet the demand of what we're seeing, of where Cyprus is heading, which is becoming I don't know this generation X, Y, Z. I don't get it. You know me. I'm not a very social media savvy guy. It's those guys that are able to get a laptop, and they don't care if they work in Berlin, Dubai, Limassol, London, Moscow. Luckily enough, a lot of these guys, they enjoy living in Cyprus. So we're trying to build projects that will be attracting these guys, making it an easier decision for them to choose Cyprus.
Every crisis sort of tends to paint Cyprus in a really positive light, which is bittersweet. But I mean, our lockdowns were hardly traumatic, and most of us were sending text messages and going off for walks by the beach. So I think a lot of these foreigners did also appreciate being in Cyprus through the pandemic, and it made them realize, wow, well, this is a pretty good place to be when things go wrong. You're more in touch with high net worth individuals than the rest of us. You meet with many of these investors. What else is it over and above what you've already told us about the package that attracts these people who could be buying anywhere? They could be buying in Monaco, London, Dubai. Why Cyprus? And more specifically, obviously, in recent months and years, Limassol.
I would say it's if I had to summarize it in one word, and I know you've heard me saying that before, it's philoxenia. It's a Greek word with dual meaning, philos and xenos. Philos is friend, xenos is guest. So philoxenia is the guest is my friend. So people feel welcome to Cyprus. I think that's the essence of why probably people other than all the rest, they feel very welcome here. I had a customer a few years ago. We met, he bought something from us. I think it was about 7 years ago. And then I met, and he was a banker. He used to work for a bank. He was the CEO of a bank, working somewhere in a foreign country. And he said, I asked him, why are you buying? And he said, it's a holiday home. I'm not going to be using it much. I'm probably going to be using it a couple of days a month, a few days in the summer, for my family, for my friends. I bumped into him after about a month, and I said, you're back. I thought you said you're going to stay for a few days and then come back, after a year. He said, I never left. I said, what do you mean you never left? I never left. It's paradise here. I feel so welcome. My family loves it so much. I've moved here.
Safety.
So all these parts, I think this welcoming, with all these things that you're saying, security, good lifestyle, the weather, the easiness in traveling, connectivity, all those things, they make these guys taxes, which, the richer you get, the less you want to pay to the government. So the tax advantages and all that, so makes that happening. And I think also, it's what you said, and I also said it before, it's COVID has shifted priorities of people. And I think people realized with COVID throughout the world, I want to spend my time where I'm going to be also having fun. In Cyprus, you can have fun.
Well, and Limassol, the Limassol of 2008. So we've got a super yacht marina now, but we've got one of the largest integrated casino resort coming up, a golf project in town. It really has changed, hasn't it? I think you can find a bit of everything here. And on that note, obviously it's the first episode, so we don't have any emails in from our listeners or our audience yet.
Lucky me.
I know, I was going to say, you're very lucky. You got away with that. But I obviously have to be the voice of our audience and our listeners. So I do want to challenge you a little bit about this ongoing debate that we have locally. I find it quite frustrating, actually, because my time off or on weekends, it seems to be the only thing that I do is sitting and, I don't want to say justifying myself to people, but there's this antagonism against developers because people are condemning modernization. They feel that we're straying away from tradition and authenticity. And there's all these talks about the high rise. What is your position on this kind of upward trajectory? Can we still stay true to Cyprus without losing ourselves entirely in our quest for progress?
Wow, quest for progress.
Indeed.
Let me position myself down. Okay, so yeah, I know what you mean. We're I get those questions a lot. People, especially in Cyprus, It's probably something of smaller places as well, which is a plus and a minus because it also challenges the system. It's easier to, let's say, give constructive criticism. I'll use that.
Good choice of words.
I'll use that. So yes, there's a lot of this. If 10 people start shouting, "Wow, what are the high-rise buildings doing? You have destroyed the old city," or "I was fishing at the old marina, now I cannot go in at the where the marina is, and now I cannot go and fish there. You have destroyed the place that I'm fishing." It becomes a lot of, more publicity. Of course, when there's evolution, there's going to be mistakes. I mean, it's granted. The easiest way not to make mistakes is do nothing. If you don't drive a car, most probably you're not going to die from a car accident. It's going to be, your chances are, if you don't get on a plane, you're probably not going to die from a car crash, plane crash. So I think the evolution, it's part of life. Otherwise, we would be living in cages, punching each other and eating raw meat and being eaten by animals. So, of course, there's a fine balance. And I think what we could have done better is there could have been better master planning. A great example of good master planning is Barcelona. Before they got the Olympics, they gave to a guy, make us a master plan of, how the Olympic village and all the facilities will look like. There was a vision, people stuck to it. So yes, I think we could have done a better planning from the government. We should have brought experts to identify where high rises should be situated, or where the different projects, how high, how low, and all that. It's something that we could have done. It could have done a better job, but I think still anyone that comes, especially to Limassol now, it's impressive. We get very high net worth individuals that have traveled all over the world. They've come to Cyprus for the first time and they're like, wow, you guys, it's a 250,000 population city and it has superior marina. It's going to soon have an integrated casino, as you mentioned. 18th hole golf course that we're involved in. It's part of the Lanitis Group next to the marina. You have all these 5-star hotels, high-rise buildings, great restaurants, cafes, nice accommodations. This is 250,000. So, yes, some things could have been done better. But I think all in all, I think it's definitely towards the right direction.
Well, I think the conversation has shifted, though. I mean, I was at the Reflect Festival only a few weeks ago. There are architects now talking about sustainability, about master planning. There is a feeling that people want positive change and they want to start thinking more strategically. And I think it's always going to be a big debate. But at the end of the day, like you said, we can't stay at a standstill, and that's the risk that you make if you're not attracting change. So I also want to ask you about rents, because that's another hot topic. What do we do about the locals feeling that they're being pushed out of the market because they can't afford to get on the property ladder or they can't afford to rent in a city like Limassol?
Again, it's the famous learning of my 5 years of education. Demand and supply defines pricing. So there is a lot of demand. I mean, if we're attracting companies with employees to Cyprus, it means there's going to be more demand for accommodation. If supply doesn't increase, prices are going to go up. So we need it's very simple. We can stop attracting, which I don't think it's the right move, because we want Cyprus to be the economy to grow, because growing economy has a spillover effect on all of us, not just real estate. It has on the taxi drivers, on the restaurants, on the cafes, on everything. So we need to increase the supply, and supply increases by being able make it easier for developers to get loans in order to start projects, or make it easier for investors, quicker for them to get permits, so that they can put products in the market and be able to ride the wave of the demand that is coming. So for me, the only way that you can do that, and by giving incentives, so that you give incentives to people to put more properties into the market. I mean, an example could be if somebody makes a project that is only for rents, you could give them a tax break. So you give an incentive to the individual to rent out. We offer 5% VAT if it's your first purchase, but if you rent it, it's 19. So actually the government is giving an anti-incentive
Yeah.
in order to put projects in the market. So, this is the only way that this problem can't be solved. It's not the easiest. It's in all countries that their economy are doing well. It's the problem is bigger in Cyprus, that it's a smaller market. But unless we put more product in the market, this is going to continue being an issue. And I think we can solve it. It's just the politicians, they have to realize that they need to do something about it and help the development sector in order to fill this demand.
So bureaucracy, incentives aside, where do you foresee the sector going? I mean, at the moment, things are seemingly quite strong. Is this something that you foresee continuing over the next 2-3 years?
It is strong, although we're in very weird times because of, as you mentioned before, the construction cost has gone up. So there's many new projects that are on standstill because they're worried. What's my construction cost going to be? Am I going to be making money at these prices that I'm going to be selling? So there's that challenge. The second challenge that we're facing is the rising interest rates. I mean, loans are paying your loan installment is becoming much more expensive. So on the one hand, we have this, which it should be driving the market down, but at the same time, because we have this increase in demand, it counterbalances that. So overall, I'm positive because there's not a lot of supply. Demand is continuing. So, and I think Cyprus is on a road that is, as a country, is evolving and it's becoming more attractive. And I'm not just saying about Limassol, it's also we're seeing in Nicosia, in Paphos, in Larnaca, in Paralimni, we're seeing infrastructure projects, we're seeing investors coming from abroad doing big projects, improving the life of the people. So I think the trajectory is positive. The only limiting factor, and a big factor limiting factor that we have now is that we don't have any private schools. Our private schools are full.
Not enough private schools, yeah.
Not enough, and they are full capacity. So that's something that we need to handle and put more places for students so that people will be able to come to Cyprus and put their kids in schools.
Well, I'm hoping that's something we can try and do with this podcast. Is the idea is to get people from various sectors talking. So it would be great if we can see some joint efforts. And I'm now going to give you the presidency, just because I can. Cyprus, the Republic of Cyprus. Michalis.
That's a big country.
It is indeed. I just want to know if you could change just one thing about Cyprus, what would it be?
Just one
Just
thing.
one. You're only allowed one.
There's an expression, I'll say it in Greek, you'll translate it in English. Cyprus, many times, we say the word ego enge.
Gotcha.
Which is, it's not my fault. Okay.
Blame game.
Blame game. So it's become, if we could change that, wow, I think we would be booming.
That's just mentality, isn't it, though?
Yeah.
And I think that is, I honestly, 10 years ago, I don't think we really as a nation knew how to be self-critical. There wasn't a lot of the whole tongue-in-cheek, laughing at ourselves like we do in the UK. I think we really have changed for the better. So I'm hoping this will be something that will keep evolving. And I know you mentioned philoxenia before, but if you had to describe Cyprus in just 3 words, what would the other 2 be?
Okay, the one for sure is philoxenia, because that's the essence of this island. The second thing that I would say is, I know it sounds a little bit blunt, but it's a safe place to be. You feel safe. I mean, being able to
Leave your car window open.
yeah, which I do. The older I get, I leave.
Is that
it's
just
not
because you're forgetting to close the window?
So the other one would be that, and the third thing that I would describe Cyprus would be, it's tough choosing the third. You know, the words I would say. Good people. I think we're good people. With all of the pluses and the minuses, we're good people.
At the heart of it.
At the heart of
At
it.
the heart of it. Well, thank you very much. It's been a long journey. I'm glad that we're finally here. I also wanted to thank Limassol today, obviously, for allowing us to use this studio, because that's another fantastic initiative. I do love a lot of the new things that are happening at the moment in Cyprus, and opening this conversation is something that was important to us as Cybarco, because we're not just here, obviously, to push our products. We're here to promote this beautiful country and destination to audiences all over the world. So, Michalis, thank you very much. And
Thank you.
I would just like to say, obviously, to our audience or our listeners, please do feel free to contact us on podcast@cybarco.com. And it would be great if you could also subscribe to Cybarco on YouTube. That way you get to watch this. But for those who prefer the audio side of podcasting, you can find us on all the channels on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. And we're starting with 1 episode a month, obviously, because you're keeping me too busy to do more than that. But we will see how it goes, and we're looking forward to our next episode. Michalis, thank you very much once again.
Thank you very much. I'm sure it's going to be great success. And the fact that it's in English, because it shows how extrovert we as a company are and what we want to, promote this beautiful island.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Destination Cyprus, brought to you by Cybarco.